50.
Yeah, but if he playing 10 yards off the ball, 15 yards off the ball,
it don't matter.
And once again, it for me, it don't matter to me, dog.
Hey,
I can run down the list of safeties that ran. Harrison Smith ran like a 4.65. That dude has been to like 8 Pro Bowls, dog. Like, either you know how to play the game from a safety position and got instincts, or you don't. Give me a dude that's got instincts and anticipation over a dude that runs a 4.4 and is going to be late to react. Because if you late to react, that 4.4 don't mean a dang thing.
He's still top 5.
Yeah, he just missed his opportunity to be top 3. That's all.
Yeah, it couldn't be that perfect.
Yeah, Lucky Lefty Podcast. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Your boy, Shaun Davis at SD2 Mics, the original Lucky Lefty himself, Malik Zaire at Overtime Malik. We're brought to you and featuring Onora Whiskey. Go to OnoraWhiskey.com. It's that premium American whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. We're sitting up here, and we got started before we even went live, talking about Kyle Hamilton. And, yo, I was kind of laughing at all of the Notre Dame fans that were like, yo, he's about to put on the show. Athletically, he did. Like, shuttle, vertical, bench press. Like, yo. And when he went to the drills, hips good. 40 time. You know, I laugh when I had people tweeting us like he's going to run a 4.35, a 4.4. And I'm like, dude, I watched this dude for 3 years. I never saw 4.4 speed. I never saw 4.4 speed. But what I did see is like, let's go to the first game against Florida State. And let's talk about the clip we've seen constantly played on social media. The interception, right? The dude is on the opposite side of the field and sees the wheel route. That's not his responsibility, and anticipates it and makes up ground without being 4.4. That has nothing to do with speed. That's knowing the game, having instincts, and seeing something before it happens. And that's why when he intercepted the ball, the quarterback was like, yo, did he pick that? He's not even supposed to be there. I checked before the snap. He was over here. Like, why is he even in the screen? That's what makes him special. You know, so people that are kind of like, oh, my God, I can't believe he ran a 4.59, 4.6. It's like, that's not his game. It's never been his game. And if you thought he was a 4.4 guy, then you weren't watching closely enough.
No, he definitely has range.
Ridiculous range.
And I think that's what makes it special, is that because he has range and he can cover ground in the passing game, he can also be able to play in the box and make plays as well, which is his strength, because he's bigger. He's bigger as a safety hybrid nickel type of player, so he can be in that box as a skinny backer almost, which is kind of what Tyrann Mathieu does. He plays the run really well, but he's a smaller individual. But he's a playmaker. I think Kyle's best ability is that he's a playmaker with range that's big enough to play a run support.
Yeah, Lucky Lefty Podcast. Oh, I think something's wrong with your sound, bro.
Hold on, I'm gonna come back. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, we're talking about the combine, just kind of recapping. And of course, you're going to hear something that myself and Malik talked about all season long during the season. Like, we tried to tell people, like, yo, this one particular team is literally one of the most talented teams we've ever seen physically, ever. And the NFL Combine did nothing but support what we saw on a weekly basis. So, and then how long is it going to take? Because what you saw, and this is the beautiful thing, this week was free publicity for Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs, Ryan Day and Ohio State Buckeyes. Free publicity. Like, Ryan Day was all over the place. He was on the Rich Eisen show. Then they brought him into the booth at the NFL Combine on the first day just because of his receivers. The two receivers that were running and the receiver that played in the national championship game the year before for Ohio State and played in the national championship the next year after he transferred to Alabama. So they had him in the booth talking about all three of those guys. So we're going to recap the NFL Combine, but then at the same time, we really want to talk about and ask the question, when would Notre Dame dominate the Combine like that? Georgia had 14 players at the NFL Combine, and just about even the punter showed his entire arse. Even the punter, 14 players, they pretty much dominated the NFL Combine. And then the kid that transferred from Georgia to Florida State, Jermaine Johnson, comes in and runs a 4.5. You know, so he was in that room of linebackers and DNs before he transferred to Florida State. Just incredible, man. So that's the question. When will Notre Dame dominate an NFL Combine? And it doesn't have to be the same numbers, like 14 players. I don't know if we'll ever see 14 players from Notre Dame at the Combine at the same time. But very interesting, because this upcoming year, Notre Dame could literally send 7 players to the Combine next year. I would say 7. 7 could go to the NFL Combine. I don't know if they'll dominate. I think 4 of those guys have the potential to dominate, but I think definitely 7 players from Notre Dame will end up at the Combine next year. And that's what, you know, if you guys play spades, I would say 7 in a push or 7 in a possible. That possible being somebody like Houston Griffith. And I'm not even counting Braden Lindsey and what he does at wide receiver. Because I know he's going to go to if he goes to the NFL Combine, he'll run fast. He's a track guy. But he would have to put up some incredible numbers in his senior season to go ahead and get the invite, number 1. And then number 2, to be considered at least second day for the NFL draft. There's no chance he'll be a first round wide receiver. But even if he can make it into like the 3rd round, he's going to have an incredible season. You're frozen now, bro. While we get Malik together, Thursday, Brandon Wimbush joins us on the show. Wednesday night, we'll have a special starting time. So we'll be starting at 8 o'clock, not 5 o'clock. We'll be starting at 8 o'clock on Wednesday.
You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
I was just giving everybody the lineup for this week. So special starting time on Wednesday. We're starting at 8 o'clock. Special guest will be Rex Pfluger, former Notre Dame basketball player.
Shout out to Rex. I just saw him the other weekend. And also shout out to Notre Dame basketball, Blake Wesley. Woo.
Nice.
That man,
nice. I didn't like the loss to Florida State last week, but that turnament bound, which is good. And I think Blake Wesley is one and done, unfortunately.
And that's okay. That's a one and done player that we had, like Duke has. You know, now we getting some more of those type of players coming through.
Oh, facts. And then on top of that, Thursday, former Notre Dame quarterback Brandon Wimbush joins us on the show.
B. Wimbush.
That should be very interesting. And then we're not sure, but either Tuesday or Friday, we'll be joined by 247 Sports. Steve Wiltfong will join us.
Hey, he's graduated. He's came a long way from Midwest recruiter when I was in high school. Now
Yo,
he's
Steve was
national.
the first. Steve was the first one that invited me out to watch a high school game with him. He was the first
Really?
one. Yeah, he was the first one that got me into watching high school and recruiting back in 2011.
Yep.
And back
Yep.
then, like you said, he was just Midwest recruiting.
Yep.
That's all he was. He's going a long way.
Come a long way. I was like, oh my! I saw him the line a couple years ago at Elite 11. He said, "Yeah, I'm the national guy." And I said, "What? That's
No, he just got bumped up from that. He's an executive now over there. Yeah, so he's calling the shots now. And so he hit us up.
yeah." He's from the bottom. I already know.
Yeah, he hit us up and was like, I can't wait to join you guys. So I'm just waiting for him to confirm. It's either going to be Tuesday or Friday. We'll be starting at normal time every day this week, except for Wednesday, when we had to bump things back for Rex, because of course, like you, Rex is out there on the West Coast.
That's right. That's right. That's a good lineup. Good lineup. All season is never all season. We on every time.
We spend it different. So go ahead and continue what you were saying about Cal Hamilton.
Yeah, I just was a little more surprised. I thought he was going to be a first round guy from a standpoint of having the intangibles, maybe popping out with a 4.4 or a low 4.5. Having a high 4.5, 4.6. It was a little different for me just because, I thought it was just going to be a little more pop. But then again, if he had that, he'd just be an all around perfect player.
Man, it'll be illegal.
Yeah, it'll be too much. It'd just be like he's first pick, give him all the money in the bank.
That's like Shaun Taylor.
Shaun Taylor in a 4.65, so it would be better than that.
That's well, once again, why was Shaun Taylor so good? Shaun Taylor was like a quarterback in high school. He also played wide receiver. So he saw the field, man. And his anticipation was bananas. His playmaking ability was bananas. Yo, if you look at the gauntlet and the field drills, Cal was catching the ball better than some of the wide receivers.
Yeah, natural hands.
Natural hands, man. So he's just, man, he's an all-around athlete. And dude, I hope he drops. I told you this, man. And a lot of fans don't. I hope he drops. I literally hope he drops to the teams to go to a team that's close to the playoffs so he can make a difference.
It'll be hard.
He probably won't. But I hope he does, man. Like, bump up some O linemen, bump up some D linemen. Some of those Georgia players will get bumped up after their performance. Let them get to the teams and let them go to a team that just missed the playoffs, and he can be a big difference.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing but hopefully, if they somehow figure out the draft a little different, they make it like the NBA lottery. That'll be a little change of pace, and it'll be probably different to shake some of that up. Maybe if Jameis went to a better team instead of just going number one overall because he almost had to, maybe his career is a little different.
Oh, it's a fact. Now, we did expect Kyron to run slow, and we talked about that, I believe, last Thursday. And we said he's not a speed back. My pushback as far as the every down back thing is that when you get guys like Elijah Mitchell, I looked it up, his 40 at his pro day was like a 4.68. So look, when you have somebody that like Kyle Shanahan, he doesn't go reach for the top-notch running backs. He believes in his system. He always has a good offensive line. And somehow, some way, he gets a Mostert, or he gets a Tevin Coleman, or he gets like Elijah Mitchell. Come in, next thing you know, 5th round pick, 6th round pick, they run for 1,000 yards. It's just amazing what running backs are able to do in his system. And like you said, the game has changed. So no one is really, Derrick Henry is an anomaly in today's NFL. Like,
well, he's just an anomaly as an athlete. I mean, the kid is 6'4", 225 or something like that.
Yeah. So, and I think Zeke early on was intended to be that type of workhorse for Dallas, but his body just can't hold up. Like you just can't run guys. The way these defensive players are, as fast as they are, the force they play with. You see somebody like Micah Parsons on the other side running a 4.4, doing damage. You can't run somebody 25, 30 times, man, for 16, 17 weeks. It's just eventually it's going to catch up to them.
Yeah, you're taking a beating, and it's really just I think it's just the combination of weeks. Maybe it's not every game, but you get week 7, one of them hits from the previous weeks is still lingering.
Man.
And it just softens you as a player naturally. But then if you given plays that you in between the tackles all the time, I mean, they got subs. You don't got a sub. So it's just makes the game a little hard for you.
And then on top of that, look, film in the combine. Give me your percentage of, if you were a scout, say you're out there and Sean McVay says, yo, Malik, I got a job for you in our scouting department. How much are you dependent upon what you see on film from a percentage standpoint versus what you see in Indianapolis in the flesh?
Well, on the field or in the person, because training is so advanced nowadays, it's more like check the box. It's less than, oh, maybe we're going to see something different. More check the box, and maybe guys that you invite to the combine that coming from smaller schools may pop.
Right.
But that's about it. Other than that, I'm looking at film 95% of the time just because that's the value of the intelligence of the player, because the game's a little different. When offensively, I think the numbers make a difference when you see these receivers run fast, because you can gear those type of things. But defensively, you will probably gauge it more towards watching film. Offensively, you want to see film, but nowadays they're plug and play in the systems. So, can you be taught is a little different, but that's also why you got to see film. Like, for instance, this year, the group of receivers are so great that a lot of these players are just minuscule differences in physicality or traits. So you got to watch the film to see who's making the plays when they matter, which makes the detailing a little different. But if you're going out to these combine, I mean, all these numbers are starting to look the same in terms of like elite speed.
Hey, bro, didn't we tell people all year the level of athleticism that was on that Georgia defense? Didn't we tell people the entire year?
Unfair.
Yeah. And the guy that would have still been on the team if he didn't transfer to Florida State walks in and runs a 4.5.
Runs a 4.5.
Runs a 4.5. Just the level. We talk about it all the time, man. I don't know if Notre Dame can ever reach that level of athleticism just because of the uniqueness of Notre Dame. I personally had never seen a defense that fast. And when Jordan Davis ran faster than Jack Cohn, I was done. When I saw a 336-pound dude run 4.7, I don't. And then his counterpart that was next to him all year at 315 comes in and runs like a 4.87. Those are the D tackles.
Yeah, that was the problem with the Georgia defense, those two guys. And you see why, because guys that big shouldn't run that fast.
No, though we were joking. I was asking you, like, yo, can you imagine playing? And you're running to the sideline, and usually, when you make a move, you leave the D tackle in it, in your rear. And you look up and he's still right there at your ear hole. And you're like, fam.
No, he out there making the tackle. He grabbing your ankles and stuff. You like, who is that?
Yeah. Right. It was crazy. It was free publicity for Kirby Smart and the Georgia program. It was free publicity the first night with the wide receivers for Ohio State and Ryan Day. Now, the question we pose to everybody today, look, when would Notre Dame be able to have that type of showing? I mean, heck, they have a great recruiting class in 22, sitting on the number one recruiting class in 23. And almost, can I step out on a limb here? Can I step out on a limb, bro? Can I step out there? I'm predicting today, March the 7th, 2022. I'm predicting today, take it to the bank, Notre Dame will end up with the number one recruiting class in the nation. I'm saying it on March 7th, 2022. You know how long we have to go? It's a long way.
It's a long way. Long way.
Book it, bro. Book it. Book it.
I think we can book that.
Book it.
We can book that. I think we can book that. I think we can book that.
Book it. I'm just gonna step out on a limb. I just firmly believe that. Book it.
I think you have a really good inclination as to why, and I think that's the right one. I think that's the one that's gonna put it together.
Well, dude, I think Marcus Freeman is the one to put it together, and I think we get that number one class. So, to get back to my point, we hold on to the number one class. I truly believe that, unless they start playing with the rankings, and we're gonna talk about that in a second, because you know how these publications get. Right, all of a sudden we got 5 stars, and then all of a sudden
it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to do this one different. Because we already got the number one in 23, and for us to have it that far out, it can be special if we can solidify it. And I know it's a long way,
right?
But you got Marcus Freeman in the building, who's the lead recruiter.
In the building.
He's a lead recruiter.
We've been saying Tommy Reed's putting in work.
Tommy
putting in major work.
Tommy Two Guns. That's what
putting in major work. And look, I can't wait, bro. I just can't wait. I can't wait to get to December. So people can see December. The vibe that I'm feeling. I will say this. I put this out. Story will be coming later this week, but I put this out in the message board over at Irish Breakdown. Talked to Carnell Tate this weekend. He'll be visiting Notre Dame on the 17th of March, which is the first day of practice. And then he'll be cutting down his list to his top 3 on the 21st or the 22nd and releasing that on the 21st or the 22nd. I'm trying to get him to release it on LL. I'm trying to get it to real. I'm like, bro, you already been on LL.
We got the relationship.
You might as well just release it right here on LL. Let's do it all over again. So hopefully we can get him to do that. We already know 2 of the teams will be Ohio State and Notre Dame. The third team
don't even matter.
It doesn't even matter because they're so far behind. It's Notre Dame and Ohio State for the services of Carnell Tate, and we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully, what Tommy Rees has set forth foundationally, Marcus Freeman has to close. This is what it comes down to, bro. We're about to find out, if Marcus Freeman is Michael Jordan as a closer or if he's LeBron James. We're about to find out.
Or if he's Scottie Pippen.
Well, Scottie Pippen couldn't close at all. That's why they went. That's why they gave the ball to Tony Kukoc at the end of the game.
Rewind.
Scottie couldn't close a darn thing.
Hold on, rewind. I know you didn't try to sneak LeBron James in there.
I had to just to mess.
Not the one that's about to go to all-time scoring champ. Not that guy.
I know he's about to have the most losses in the NBA.
Wait a minute. Whoa. You love to highlight the little stuff.
Yo, but check this out. I do want to say, despite the performance in the 40, the people around the NFL still love Kyle Hamilton, man.
I am so happy because I was nervous about saying what I believe, which is that Kyle Hamilton is the best player in the draft. And maybe more importantly, the best player for this moment in football, where, in response to the explosion in passing over the last decade, defenses are now asking so much out of safeties, more disguise, more versatility. And versatility is what this guy has in spades. I mean, he can play deep middle, he can play split safety, he can play in the box, he can play in the slot, he can blitz, and he has the size, the range, and the ball skills to do all of those things at an elite level. I don't know how high he's going to get drafted. He's a safety, but if I was a rebuilding defense, I would want to rebuild the whole thing around this guy.
Yo, first of all, I'd like to say I love Nina Kimes. Not because of her NFL knowledge. I had plenty of opportunities to be around her. One of the coolest people you'll ever meet. One of the coolest. Another person that's like that, that's been out in LA, you might not think so, bro, but I tell people all the time, Stephen A. Smith is one of the coolest dudes you can ever meet in person. Because people look at
Stephen, I love our
people look at the TV persona. Stephen A. Smith will sit there and have literally a 30-minute conversation with you about what's going on with you. And you will never get the vibe that he's big time. Ever. He's that type of dude. He's that type of dude. First person I met when I first got to the network, I worked there for 6 years. When I first got to the network and I went up for my orientation, the first three people I bumped into, Kerry Champion, Feinbaum, and Stephen A. Those are the first three people I saw.
The hitters.
I got the most love from Stephen A.
Well, you didn't expect nothing from Feinbaum.
That cat Feinbaum just walked straight Purdue. Nothing. Carrie was too busy trying to get to the people to do her hair. She literally had like rollers in her hair, and I understood.
You know how that go.
I understood. But she gave me a nod. But yeah, Stephen A is cool. So Mina Kimes is one of those cool people. And what she said, I kind of agree. I'll push back maybe on him being the best player in the entire draft. That's debatable. Because of the way the game is going, could he end up being the most valuable pick in the draft because of his versatility? I'll rock with that. I'll definitely rock with that.
No, yeah, I think his versatility is what makes him legitimately a first round guy.
Yeah.
And I do think that I think she has some really good points in terms of what the game needs now and how they need to build around her. I think that's what really needs to come into play and be in consideration, considering he has the size. It's one thing to be a rangy player like a Tyrann Mathieu at a 5'9", but you're at a 6'3", moving like that, and it's not a corner.
Yeah.
I think and you like the physicality. I think you signing your own checks because the league is looking for that when you're chasing guys around the field and you got guys passing for the numbers that they're passing for.
Yeah. So, with that being said, Kyle Hamilton, Kyron, they didn't give you splash, but if you've been paying attention to who they are,
Notre Dame value though. They gave you. That's a Notre Dame expectation. They're not going to be the fact. I think we've had anomalies because of Chase and Miles running 4 threes and stuff, but that's a usual Notre Dame archetype.
And I expect the clock to be a lot quicker at the Notre Dame Pro Day. I expect Cal to run faster at the Notre Dame Pro Day. I expect Kyron to run faster.
Notre Dame clocks.
Yes, I expect Kyron. Yo, so I have to cover the Pro Day. What's it like, bro?
It's cool. You go in there, you really think about your starts and your techniques, and it happens real fast. So it's cool to I was Z, so I always went the last one in all the runs, so I got to see everybody in the process.
That's right.
It's just cool to really see them go through it, and as a quarterback's a little different. I'm just thinking about my throws, bro. I wasn't, the testing and stuff is like whatever, but the throws was important, and so that's what
You were throwing the wheel. Who were you throwing to?
I was throwing the EQ, Miles, Durham, all the guys are in the league right now, basically.
Okay.
Josh Adams. I had so we had a nice little squad there, and it worked out.
So now let's talk about next year and what it might look like for the NFL Combine as far as Notre Dame. Let's talk about the guys we expect to definitely get an invite. Jason Adamiola.
Jason Adamiola, Fauski,
Mayer, Brandon Joseph, possibly.
Avery Davis, Brandon Joseph.
Okay.
Braden Lindsay, if he has a good year.
He has to have a hell of a year, bro. He just can't have a good year. That dude has to have
he'll have a good year because we'll win 9 games. But he has to have some touchdowns, some numbers in there.
Yeah.
I think Jarrett Patterson will be in there.
Good call on JP. I don't know if Josh Love gets the combine invite. I think
Cam Hart be in there.
Cam Hart will get the invite. That's 8. That's 8.
And then we'll have leave room for two more splashes. A linebacker in there. Because we'll win 9 or 10 games. A linebacker.
Guys like Bo Bauer, the other Adamiola. There's some guys, Houston Griffith. They might not get the invite to the combine, but I definitely think you'll see a couple of them at Josh Love might end up at the Senior Bowl, even though he doesn't get the combine invite, or he might end up at the East-West Shrine game, one of those games. But yeah, it's quite possible that Notre Dame gets 8 guys invited to the combine next year, which would be great, especially if they win 11 games. And hey, Marcus Freeman is right down the road. So they can bring Marcus Freeman up to talk about his guys, just like they did Ryan Day for a day. That would be dope. But the class after that is this 2023 class, dude. So in 2026, I know it's a long way away. It's 4 years away, but I expect Notre Dame to show their entire arse in Indianapolis in 2026. I stepped out on a limb. March 7, 2022. I did it around 5/17. And I said Notre Dame's going to sign the number 1 class in the class of 2023.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you add that Dayton touch to Notre Dame campus.
Here we go.
And I see people talk about 9 wins, but look, I'm just saying at least 9 wins. At least 9 wins. But the other wins, we got to work for it. I got to see what the spring look like. I got to see what this recruiting finishes at, but I definitely think we can get to 11 wins, but 9 definitely, for sure. I think we can get 9 for sure off of talent alone.
Yeah. It was an unusual slow combine, if that makes sense.
Unusually slow?
Yeah. I told you, remember? They only had the wide receivers for the 3-cone. They only had 3 receivers break 7.
Yeah.
As compared to 5 years ago, there were 20 receivers that broke 7. And I was like, yo, what can you attribute that to? Because that's just really strange, because you think the athletes are getting quicker and faster. And for them to drop off like that in the 3-cone drill, man, I just found it very interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's interesting that they're falling behind a little bit, but I do think that the more focus is on that 40, man, you trying to hit that 4.3. That's why so many guys increasingly are getting better at it.
Yeah. What was your favorite part? You got Malik. We talked about
Probably Jordan Davis, just to see how athletic he really looked. And he looked good running the 40. He didn't look heavy-footed at all.
No,
And
good
just to
form.
see him be 365 and do it is just crazy.
Man, he was absolutely fantastic, bro. And then when you have his counterpart come out and run like maybe 800ths of a second slower, it's like, gee. Dude, cool. I had to tip my cap to Nick Saban, bro. Because I said Nick Saban actually came up with a plan to put up 30 plus on these dudes. Like I really tipped my cap. Like, you know what? He figured out a way.
And it came down to a last possession, too.
He figured out a way, and he almost got it done in the national championship team. We said it all year, dude. If they did not win the national championship this year, Kirby Smart and that program might have taken a little dip.
And he might have gotten fired because that defense is too good to not win the championship.
You cannot have that team and that defense and not win it. The fact that they won with the quarterback they have shows you the abundance of talent they had surrounding him.
And that's what recruiting can do. And that's how I see Notre Dame in the future. I see us in 2023 at 2022 class, Marcus Freeman era, a bunch of guys going to the league on that stature where it's like the defenses are built so tough and so deep that they're going to have repetitive NFL cycles.
Man, Lucky Lefty podcast featuring Onora Whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com, premium American whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. Bro, I kind of teased this, but I want to point it out once again. This week, our guest, Steve Wilfong, 247 Sports, Brandon Wimbush on Thursday, regular time. And then we have a late start on Wednesday, 8 o'clock Central Time. Rex Pfluger, former Notre Dame basketball player, is going to join us on the Lucky Lefty podcast. Now, I want to switch it up because I want to pull something from NCAA basketball, which is at its peak going into March Madness right now. I'm going to go to the Big Ten. First of all, shout out to my guys down there in Champaign. Alma mater, getting it done last night.
Getting it done.
Big Ten championship. They had me throwing things for about an hour and a half, but hey.
Okay, hey, it's all
good. It's all good. I didn't break anything. That's all that counts. I didn't break anything. I made sure I had balled up socks, bro. I had the balled up socks next to me. I was
the laundry, so it's sitting.
Yeah, they went down 15 midway through the first half, and I was like, dude, really? This is how we come out and play?
But you know, they good for losing like that. But they had to turn it around. Maybe it's a new way.
Man. I want to bring something up to you too. But we'll do that later in the show as we get ready to close out. I want to go to Matt Painter, head basketball coach for one of the best teams in the Big Ten, the Purdue Boilermakers. And Matt Painter was asked about. He he quite possibly has the best player in the nation, Jaden Ivey, who might
all around,
absolutely. But he was asked about role players like Sasha Stefanovic and Zach Edey and what they mean to the program. And he got into this whole dialogue about recruiting and rankings and why they don't mean anything. I want you guys to check Matt Painter out yesterday and tell me what you think, because I thought what he said was spot on.
You got the small man in your ear, telling you you're not quite there, you're not quite good enough. And that's not the case. And so I'm a big believer in you become what the head coach thinks of you. And when I watched him, I thought he was a good player. And so I've coached low major basketball, mid major basketball, high major basketball. And if you're good, you're good. I don't like to label guys. I hate the numbers. The numbers stink. Anybody in this room can tell us who the top 20 players in the country are. But from 21 to 500, Zach Edey's like in the 300s. How foolish are they? Chris Kramer is like 430. Like, only thing those two guys have done is win basketball games here. I don't know what Sasha was ranked, and I could care less. It's the dumbest thing in the world. Like, if you sign with the school and you're like, it's a blue blood and you were 27, you're automatically 16. Like, How's that work? You sign with a non-blue blood and you're 45, then all of a sudden you're 74, and it's like, it's ridiculous. You'd be amazed that you see people in the 30s, and there's some guys not even ranked, and you're like, you don't. It's like Indiana's like Rob Finney. Like, I loved Rob Finney. I thought he was great. I thought he was a winner. He had a lot of winning qualities about him. Like, when you rank guys, you can't judge what's in their heart. When you go and recruit them and spend time with them and see them, like, you see that. That's the evaluation is your work ethic. You know, do you have any baggage? Like, you know, just because things are going to happen. Things are going to happen. So to get a guy like that who just wants to help Purdue win and can make shots and can move and can pass, you know, that's fun. He's got heavy feet, but that's okay. There's a lot of good people with heavy feet.
Yo, that applies to college basketball and college football.
Yeah, but
it's not. I just want to say this, and this is what I tell people all the time, man. Don't get caught up. The one thing that stuck out, he said a player is only as good as his coach thinks he can be. Period. Like, you're recruiting. So when Preston Zinter signed with Notre Dame, and Notre Dame had all these top linebackers still on the board, and Marcus Freeman accepted the commitment of Preston Zinter, who's not from a state that produces a lot of great football players as a linebacker, Notre Dame fans were like, man, why did they take him? They took him because Marcus Freeman sees something in him. He sees something that he can create. He sees the talent, he sees the ability, and he knows that if I get a hold of him, I can maximize and turn this guy into a really good player at the linebacker position, a position I played. And if I'm going to trust any position evaluation of Marcus Freeman as a head coach, it's going to be linebacker. Not quarterback, not running back, not offensive line. If I'm going to trust Marcus Freeman's evaluation for one position, it's going to be at linebacker. And Preston Zinter is like in the 200s nationally. In the 200s. We talk about all the time. As soon as somebody that's ranked in the top 15 nationally, as soon as they commit to Notre Dame, 2 weeks later, they drop down to 30-something. They drop down to 40-something. If they commit to Alabama, all of a sudden they jump up to 5, 6, 7. It's crazy, the politics that exists in recruiting. So that part of what he said is spot on. Either you can play or you can't. There's a bunch of people. There's a bunch of people in this world that can play football that didn't play in the SEC, didn't play in the ACC, didn't play in the Pac-12. You'll see them on Sundays. Watch in Pro Bowls.
You'll see them, and then that's the thing too, is that you can't be a lazy recruiter. And I think that's the biggest benefit, is that he put his time in. But the thing is too, is that if he was at a Kentucky or a Duke, it'll be hard not to take these 5-stars who are wanting to come, who are walking through the door every day. So he had to recruit a little bit harder to find guys locally, which is what Indiana's good at apparently, because we love to do.
Purdue. He's Purdue. I get that.
Purdue. Now, Alabama.
Now, I will say this: the Purdue basketball program is a little bit different than the Purdue football program.
A little bit different. But you got to think too. Notre Dame football is recruiting like that. Alabama's not recruiting 3-star guys, because you look at that offensive line, that defensive line in Alabama, that's a 5-star guy. Those are guys that are prime position for that team, and they get the results out of it. So it's a little different in football on that level, because we're good at getting those guys that you never heard of that were turned into superstars.
Mm-hmm. Now, like he said, we can all identify in basketball, baseball, football. We can identify. The top 10 are usually easy. It's easy.
Top 10 is easy.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, the state of Illinois, Charles Jackensaw is the number 1 player in the state. It's not even close. Malik Elsie is probably 2 or 3. It's not even close. If Cardinal Tate didn't transfer, he probably would be 2 or 3. It'll be between him and Malik Elsie. It's not even close. It's not even debatable. Once we get down to like 7 and 8, it's all about the school you choose.
Yeah.
The system you go to.
Whether
or not the coaches believe in you.
Or the fit.
You're absolutely right.
Like a Kayvon Thibodeau, it don't matter.
It doesn't matter. Will Anderson could have gone anywhere. Will Anderson could have gone to any school in the SEC, and that dude would be wrecking shop. He'd be wrecking shop. Now, can I keep it a buck? Can we keep it all the way a buck? Some people might be upset. Let's keep it a buck. If Aiden Hutchinson wasn't at Michigan, there's no way he gets to New York for the Heisman Trophy.
Not if he was at Nebraska, Iowa.
No. The Michigan brand helped. And if people, if the Jacksonville Jaguars take him with the number 1 pick, bro, I know.
Good, because that means Kyle can't go there, right?
Oh, absolutely. But if the Jaguars take Aiden Hutchinson with the number 1 overall pick, I don't want to hear anything else about Urban Meyer. There's some other dumb people in that building. There's some other people in that building that don't know football.
Listen, go easy on my Jags now. We just trying to get the best available, and maybe that's what they need, is a great hope for the city.
Now, is this the year you trade down and pick up picks? Because there really is no that guy is the number 1 overall player. They're not going to take a safety with the number 1 pick. The highest a safety has ever gone in the draft is at the 2nd spot.
We should take Kyle just because defensively we need a safety, and that would be
you can probably trade down and get Kyle at the 4th pick or the 5th pick. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe somebody is sitting right there at 5 and 6 with a couple of first-round picks. If I'm not mistaken, it's the Jets.
Well, the Jets need all the picks they can get, so I'm not quite sure what they're going to do.
No, the Giants at 5. It's the Giants. The Giants are sitting at 5 and 7. So you let the Giants come up, get number 1. If they want to give you 5 and 7, I'm all for it. You can have this number 1 pick. You give me number 5 and number 7.
Yeah, but then I don't want Kyle going to the Giants, though, either.
Boy, he would make a lot of money in New York, boy. That dude would make a lot of money off the field in New York, though. I bet you his agent wants him to go to the Giants. I bet his agent wants him to go to the Giants.
If he goes to the Giants, I think he'll be next level, though. He'll be next level marketing like Odell.
Man. Amika Burton, thank you for the super chat sticker, man. We appreciate you. Shout out to LL Nation.
Shout out to LL Nation, man. We appreciate y'all so much.
Like our boy Michael Park says, pancake that like button. Jeff Fluke, Alabama would have won if Williams didn't get hurt. That's quite possible. Cal needs to go to the Bears. They need him, but the Bears need a lot. The Bears need a receiver. Help him out. Maybe y'all get Calvin Ridley off of waivers or something. Nah, he's suspended for the year. So how dumb was he? Kuba Puig, Shaun, do you think that if we had Zach Wilson instead of Book in that year, are we more of a threat than we were? I guess
Zach Wilson, you're not going very far with Zach.
Man, you throwing a little shade at Zach Wilson right there? Man, my only problem with Zach Wilson in the NFL is I don't think he'll be durable enough. He'll be hurt a lot, man. He's slightly built. He's just too slightly built. But no, getting back to Matt Painter, I think it applies not only to college basketball, but college football as well. Because basketball, you don't have as many players But the thing about football, let's say your average class is 18 to 20. Each class, you can't miss on more. You can't miss on more than 2 players in a class. You can't. If you're going to be an elite program, 2, maybe 3 at the most. If you're bringing in 20 every year, you just for depth purposes, man, you can't get a class of 20 and miss on 5. That's just not good. You have to be more efficient in that as a recruiter. Now it's totally different if you're getting 20 good players and 5 of them eventually transfer out because they just don't have room and opportunity to get on the field. That's totally different. I'm talking about recruiting guys and they just don't develop. They end up busting out. You can't have that. Tracy Pines has a question for you. What was your 40? What did you run?
I ran a 4.5 in high school. I ran a 4.6 at the combine.
A 4.6?
I was heavy.
I was about to get on you, but I'll let it ride. Will Chesnick said, yeah, he was clocked in 21 miles per hour in pads. Scouts definitely aren't worried about the speed aspect of our boy Kyle Hamilton. I'm interested in seeing what he has to say on Inside the Garage the next episode after the combine.
He probably going to be upset that he ran that slow.
Well, you know what, man? He'll have a fast clock back at the pro day. He's good. He's good. Let's get to some more comments. I think we got to those. Welling Jeremy. The thing is, these boys are a little bigger than the boys even 20 years ago. A lot bigger than the boys 20 years ago. But the field is the same size. That's valid. So these boys take up more space on the field and allows the players to make up space much quicker. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. Hey, come on, man. You don't have to do me like that. You have to give them a chance. As long as they make it further than they made it last year. They get to the Sweet 16 after the year they've had with injuries and COVID and suspensions. If they get to the Sweet 16, it will be a victory for the program. I don't have them in the Final Four, so that wouldn't be any sweat off my back at all. Amika Burton, ND, defensive line next year will go in first round next year, in my opinion. Which one? Which one? Foskey. I think Foskey probably has the best chance. I don't know if Ademiola is big enough to go at the DT. Because if he's going to be playing 3-4 big defensive end at his size, they list him right under 300, but he probably plays a little lighter. He's probably going to be in a 3-4 because he's not quick enough, fast enough to come off the edge in a 4-3 consistently. So he probably goes big end in a 3-4. And he probably has a really, really good career. Like, he's a player that I can see playing 19 years for a really good organization, being a leader, and having really good stats. And actually having a better pro career from a stat standpoint than he had in college at Notre Dame. I can actually see him doing that. Michael Parks. What was Kane Madden's 40 time? You know what? I'm going to pay attention because I'm sure he's going to be at the pro day. I'm pretty sure he'll participate at the pro day. And I will be very interested in seeing what he does. So out of the 8 players we named that will more than likely get invites to the combine in 2023, I would say 4 of those guys and possibly 5 will have really good showings, which is really good publicity for the program. Really good, very, very good publicity for the football program. Absolutely. So next year will be the start of something. And as we continue to build, we'll see more and more athletes from Notre Dame going out and dominating at the NFL Combine. Because like I said, it's great publicity for your football program. It absolutely is. What do you guys think about that? Who are going to be your standouts? Who is going to be your standouts in Indianapolis next year from this Notre Dame squad? Let us know. Will Chesnick said Kyron looked like he was moving for him too. I don't know how much faster he can go. Yeah, man, but you look at the touchdown against Clemson. He outran the DBs. I know he's tough as nails, and he's versatile, man. He's versatile. So he'll find a way to make it in the NFL. I totally believe that. Jeff Luke, that's interesting. Can we do a show on the recruiting class bus rate during the BK era? I'm going to check the numbers on that. That's interesting. Because like I said, if you're getting in 18 to 20 kids and you're going to be a great program, the most you can miss on is maybe 2 to 3 guys per class. Maybe 2 to 3 guys per class. And really what you want to do is get 20 in, make sure they all develop. And if 4 or 5 leave via the transfer portal, that's like Jameson Williams leaving Ohio State and doing what he did. Not only is good for Alabama, but it's good for Ohio State because his development is still attributed to Ohio State and him being polished once he got to Alabama. You're going to see the same thing from Burton. It's going to be a great thing for Georgia to send a wide receiver, a national championship wide receiver to Alabama. He puts up numbers with a better quarterback. And if he goes second day in the NFL next year in the draft, that development goes back to Georgia. So now when Kirby Smart walks into a young man's home, he says, we developed him. Yeah, we know he went and played and put up better numbers at Alabama, but he was developed and won a national championship at Georgia. Run Tuck, thank you for tapping in. Cooper Kupp ran a 4.6. He's always wide open and he doesn't have length like Kyle. Yeah, as I said before, anticipation, knowing how to play the game is the most important part of Kyle's game. Very similar to Shaun Taylor. Very similar to Shaun Taylor. The interception he made that we've seen go viral had little to do with, speed mattered, but his ability to see pre-snap, see the wheel route immediately, and then take off. And his length took up ground. Forget the clock. It's his length mixed with his speed made up the ground to be able to make that interception. So anticipation with intelligence and athletic ability. That's what you're getting when you're talking about a guy like Kyle Hamilton. Jay Henry, would Mayer even have to pursue? Yeah. Why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he? The tight end class might not be let's check out the tight end class for next year. You got Cameron Latu from Alabama. He has an opportunity to be day one. I really like Will Mallory from Miami. He has an opportunity to be day one. And then Michael Mayer. Davis Allen from Clemson. Until they get the quarterback situation together at Clemson, really don't know what he's going to be able to do. But Latu and Michael Mayer will be the top two. And Latu, more than likely, because of the quarterback he's playing with, is going to have some really good numbers. So when you have that battle to see who's the number one quarterback, and then Darnell Washington, the tight end from Georgia, who's a monster, 6'7", 265, he'll be in the running as well. I think he's going to end up being the third or fourth tight end. But, you know, when you have that mix and you want to differentiate yourself from a kid like Latu down in Alabama, yeah, you go ahead. You might not have to run the 40, but definitely do the gauntlet and do the field drills. I don't even know if Chris Tyree would get an invite. It depends on his usage. And, you know, and Chris Tyree might come back because he does have 2 years of eligibility left. We have to remember that because of the COVID extra COVID year, I meant. Yeah, Irish won. No special tight ends this year. 4.59 was the quickest. Michael Mayer might be a little bit faster than that. Michael Mayer might be mid 4.5. And I missed that. For whatever reason, prayers up to our guy Rex Mikes. It's a day one, prayers up to him and what he's going through. Oh, I see it now. Prayers, Rex, to your mom and your entire family. We speak perfect healing over her and whatever the situation is. And we speak the peace of God over you and your entire family. And yeah, hope everything goes well. We hope everything goes well, man. Do what you have to do, but try not to stress yourself out too much. Because at the end of the day, she needs you, but I'm sure there are a host of other people that need you as well. I'm sure you need your family as well. David Jones, thank you for tapping in. What's interesting about it, though, is that Kyle is not even aware he has the issue. If he corrected it, he could really turn heads at the pro day. I think you're talking about his start. I see it. That could be it. But I just think Kyle is never going to run a 4.4. Kyle is the type of kid, he's long, and when you're that long, it takes a lot to get going. Where other guys can pretty much, after about 5-6 yards, they're getting to that top acceleration. Kyle takes a little bit longer to unwind, but once he gets going, man, like he's hitting 21, 22 miles per hour. And he has that anticipation. So Kyle is the type of player that as he gets older, he'll still be very effective because of his anticipation at the position that he plays. And that's what's going to make him an enduring great player in the NFL, barring catastrophe from an injury standpoint, is his ability to anticipate, read, pre-snap, and then react. He's going to be a fantastic, fantastic player. Even if he didn't have a physical window, he came to Notre Dame. He was healthy. Kyle Hamilton has never been a 4.4 guy. He's never been a 4.4 guy. Never. You can go watch him his freshman year. He wasn't a 4.4 guy. Go watch his first interception for a touchdown. He wasn't a 4.4 guy. That's not what you see on film. And I understand what you're saying about the injury, but he's never been that guy. Matter of fact, that was one of the reasons people really didn't want to give him his respect as far as rankings. You know, they kept waiting to see that speed, and that's just not who he is. You have to really appreciate the overall talent and the overall football player he is to understand just how great he is. And it took people a long time to recognize that. Like I said, he got his offer from Georgia. He was a 3-star. He wasn't even a high 3-star. Like Georgia jumped on him, and then a couple of other big-time programs jumped on him late. And eventually he got that bump up to a 4-star. And some publications bumped him back down once he committed to Notre Dame. So, it always contributes to other things if you don't get it right. Hopefully, he goes to an organization that will be able to help solve that. I'm all for, David, I'm all for back alignments, man. Woo! It's nothing like going to a chiropractor and, them popping you and getting your alignment right. It feels crazy initially, but man, when they're done, it's amazing. So I am definitely an advocate for that. Coleman Smith, thank you for tapping in. If you had to predict, where do you think Cal will get drafted? I think the Jets and the 459 is not that concerning in my opinion. Yeah, if he goes to New York, that Jets situation, I just don't see it getting right, man. They've been bad for so long. I just don't know. Kyron just needs to be the back that he is. Versatile. He can make you miss. He needs to go somewhere where it's a really solid system and offensive line. He'll be fine. He'll stay in the league. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us today. Don't forget the rest of this week, either Tuesday or Friday, Steve Wilfong is going to be joining us from 247 Sports. Wednesday, Rex Pfluger, special 8 o'clock start, 8 o'clock Central Time. Rex Pfluger, former Notre Dame basketball player, is going to join us. And then on Thursday at our normal time, we're going to have former Notre Dame quarterback Brandon Wimbush right here on the Lucky Lefty podcast. You know what time it is.
Petticoat, petticoat junction.
It's time to get petty.
Oh, we did a good job executing.
Are you upset with something?
And fire up the Petticoat Junction train.
I just don't like you.
You don't?
No.
What is today's petty history? Petty Junction.
That's right. Pettiest story of the day. Yo, some petty things went on in Durham, North Carolina over the weekend. Petty. North Carolina's men's basketball team. You all are mad petty for spoiling the coronation and retirement of Mike Krzyzewski. But I love the way you did it. I loved it. Went there, banged out in Cameron Indoor, killed the vibe, made the man come before the fan base and apologize for the performance. I loved it. I loved it. But I got to throw you on the petty train. That was mad petty. Showing no respect for the celebration that was taking place all weekend long. When you guys stepped on the court, you were all business. But because you threw a wrench in the plans, I got to put you on the petty train. That was mad petty, but you got to love it. You have to love it. ESPN. We saw this clip yesterday. Brooklyn, Boston. I don't know. I've done this before. I told Malik I've done this before. Yo, Big Baby Davis had the nerve to sit in someone's seat during the game. They had the camera on him, and when they had the camera on him on the sideline, the people who the seats belonged to actually walked up. He turned around and said, "Oh, these your seats?" And he went, I think he was like one row back. That's where his seats were. ESPN is petty for staying with the conversation and the transaction. And then Big Baby is petty, even though we all do it. Like, you go to a game, you see empty seats in the lower bowl. You know no one else is coming because it's the middle of the second quarter. So you just go down and grab a seat. I used to do it at the United Center all the time, post Michael Jordan. All the time. To watch the Eddie Currys, the Jamal Crawfords, the Jay Williams, and those terrible teams with Jalen Rose running the rock. Man, Ron Mercer. Oh, man. Woo. I can remember those days. So I was mad petty for that because I would always go get a great seat at some time during the game. But Big Baby, that was mad petty. And ESPN, for you to stay with it and have the audio, mad petty as well. So, Chris Carrawell, assistant for Coach K in the handshake line, ignoring Hubert Davis and walking by him, you mad petty, dude. You mad petty. I got a few other words for you because I really don't rock with Duke. I really don't rock with Duke basketball. But I'm going to let you slide. I'm really not going to throw those words on you tonight. But that was real petty. You know, you're showing some attributes there. Don't do that. Don't do that. Oh, Shaun. Whoo, man. Coming off 6 championships, it tried every bit of my fandom. Every bit of my fandom. You talk about having to have the patience of Job. Yeah, David. You know, because North Carolina, man, they were supposed to, like, just accept Coach K's celebration. Yeah, they were supposed to just accept it. They already have, like, 23 wins, 14 wins in conference, more than likely. You know, they're going to be on the bubble. More than likely, they will make it in, have an opportunity in the tournament, ACC tournament coming up in Brooklyn to get a couple more wins. North Carolina would have been good if they had allowed Duke to just go ahead, win the game, make it a little close, or win the game and allow Duke to be in a frenzy, the Cameron Crazies to be in a frenzy. Yeah, man. Yeah, but they purposely, them and Hubert Davis, came in, chip on their shoulder and said, not on our watch. And for that, it's a good petty. I loved it. It's not a bad petty. It's a very good petty. Got to throw them on a petty train. And I loved every minute of that pettiness. Every minute of that pettiness. DA, number 36 bus. So many number 1 draft picks down the drain with those Bulls teams. Man, look. Who are you telling? Antoine, Porsche Rideau. If it was Notre Dame's men's team, would be petty. If it was them instead of UNC. No, it's petty. It's even more petty because that's their rival. That's their rival. So it's like, yeah, you already knew what the talk in the locker room coming out was for Hubert Davis. You know, he was like, let's go out here and kick that. I don't give a about Coach K. You know he was disrespectful. And I don't know if you guys saw this, but go ahead and do a search. Google search. SI wrote an article. Supposedly, Chris Carrawell and the staff was upset because North Carolina didn't have any special ceremony for Coach K when they played at Chapel Hill. The article is up on SI. I think it came out about 2 o'clock this afternoon. This is true. And if this is the case, this is like, how are you mad because somebody else chose not to celebrate? Like, I understand it would have been a nice thing to do, right? But it's not mandatory that North Carolina puts on some type of post-game celebration for a coach that they dislike. They don't have to do that. It would have been nice if they had done it, but they're not mandated to do that. And if you're still carrying that as a Duke staff, get over it, man. Get over it. That's petty. Come on, man. Like, right. What are they supposed to do? They're supposed to bring out a rocking chair, give you don't even play golf, so they can't even give you golf clubs. What are they supposed to do? Send you and Mickey on a trip to the Caribbean or something? It's like, what? Like, man, get real. Man, yeah, Matt. You late to the party, dude. Mad petty of you. Great show, though. Watch it. You'll enjoy it. As always, we appreciate you guys. Thank you for keep bumping us up. We're almost at 2K. And we'll be making an announcement. Malik will be making an announcement. We'll be in South Bend Thursday prior to the Blue and Gold game. Malik and Tavon Coney and the other players will be there for the Legacy Weekend. I believe that Friday, Malik and Tavon will have an Onora Whiskey, an event in South Bend. He'll be giving you the location, and then we'll be celebrating my birthday that weekend. And I think the morning of the Blue and Gold game, we'll be doing a live podcast at a location near campus as well. So it's going to be a great weekend. We'll give you more information. I will be at the Pro Day. I won't be able to make it for the first spring practice, but I will be at the Pro Day and then the open practice the day after that. And I'll be checking in with you guys, giving you updates on what the squad is looking like early in the spring. So, man, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for tapping in with us. As always, we're featuring and brought to you by Onora Whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. It's that premium American whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. So, from a guy, the original Lucky Lefty himself, who's probably chasing little man around, Malik Zaire, I am Shaun Davis at SB2 Mics. Smash the like button. Thank you guys. You've been getting it up to like 200 likes. Continue to smash the like button. Continue to share and let people know. LL Nation, Lucky Lefty Podcast. We spin it different. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Be blessed. Rex Mics. We're praying for you, your mom, and your family. We appreciate you, man. You all, we'll check you out tomorrow for another episode of the Lucky Lefty